This is the Glitter65 HE from Moeetech with magnetic switches and customizable actuation points. We featured the Glitter65 R2 in the past, and this has the same build with a G tray within, enclosed inside a polycarbonate built body. Upon unboxing the unit, the first thing I noticed is the very premium quality keycaps. I've never seen keycaps of this quality before, and also this double shot build with a frosted PC outer layer. In this review, we will be going over the Moeetech Glitter65 HE keyboard in general, along with 3 different types of switches manufactured by Moeetech themselves. One is silent, one is thocky, and the other is clacky. We will also be exploring 2 colorways of their double-shot PC keycaps. But before we get ahead of ourselves, hi, I am Daniel with the Biboyharanero team. We've been in the industry since 2019, so consider subscribing so you're always updated with our new video releases and updates. The Glitter65 HE is a wired keyboard with 8000 Hz polling rate, so this will perform at ultra-competitive levels, matching that of ultra-competitive keyboards with overkill specs. You also get magnetic features on this keyboard such as SOCD for a fluid left and right in-game character motion. This too has NKRO, or all-key anti-ghosting, so no interferences shall occur throughout the board. I took this for a ride in gaming, and it did feel really good on my hands, having a cherry profile keycap set with a frosted PC build. It just feels so smooth and feels expensive too. But this will be offered at around $100-ish, depending on whether you get the Pro version or the regular version. The Pro version has hyper-sampling algorithm, which allows the keyboard to get more accurate readings of the switch's travel distance. The Pro version too has more color options to cater to more user preferences. If I hadn't already mentioned, or if it's not already obvious, this is a 65% keyboard with a body that's relatively taller than the usual keyboard that I've tested. So in terms of comfort, I would advise getting yourself something like a wrist rest just to help out with the keyboard height. We'll talk more about build quality later, but first, let's go over the software real quick. So I have here the web-based software, and I believe this is just the sample software of this keyboard. But anyways, the first tab right here is where you do your key bindings. It's very straightforward, and I don't think I'd have to dive deeper into this. But I think it's worth mentioning that you can customize the function layer of this keyboard. So you have the default and the function layer right there. Next tab, this is where you set up your SOCD. You already have default SOCD set up right here, and there's A and D already set up right there. This is where you change actuation points for the whole entire keyboard. And lastly, this is where you update firmware. So it's very straightforward. Out of the box, you get the pre-built version, but you do get an option for a custom build where you put things together yourself. The Pro version includes the keyboard, cable, extra keycaps, and a bag which I think has a waterproof material. The bag, by the way, is not a carrying case for the keyboard given its size. And it will also be given away only to the first 500 purchasers, so be sure to get this as soon as you can for an added free shipping and a free set of keycaps, which we will go over in the next segment. But anyhow, I wish the keycaps included here were Mac compatible keycaps, so Mac users out there, you're gonna have to settle with Windows and Alt. You get a super key right here, but I'm not sure if that would help you guys out. The cable isn't very thick, but has this crunchy feeling to it and is also surprisingly brownish, which is very much similar to the colorway of the stock keycaps that my unit came with. For 65% keyboards, the Glitter65 HE is pretty much average in terms of height. It's not at the level that will move around your desk, plus you do get anti-slip pads underneath. The USB-C input is positioned in the middle, which I think was done just right, as with a futuristic look to the keyboard, I think symmetry is key. And about this being futuristic, I think one of the greatest contributors to its unique design are the rounded sides. I reviewed the Moeetech Glitter65 in the past with the same shape, and it kind of reminds me of R2-D2 from Star Wars. But as for this one, it reminds me of the Final Order Flame Trooper. Anyhow, disassembling the keyboard is fairly easy, but you will have to remove the switches and keycaps to be able to pull out the G tray from the top side of the keyboard. And it's pretty much the same as the first Glitter65 that we featured on this channel. Moving on, the keyboard sounds very solid when tapping on it thanks to the fully dampened internals where you'd get foam in between the PCB and positioning plate and also another foam layer underneath the PCB. Next up, we have the keycaps in double shot, PC outer layered, built in the cherry profile. I'm not sure what plastic is used for the inner layer, but if I had to guess, it's ABS, but I might be wrong. Anyhow, upon first use of the keyboard, I already immediately noticed that the keycaps do have some level of weight to it that dampens the sound of the switches. Now, this could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on preference. What this basically does is it reduces the vibration when bottoming out the switch, resulting in a quieter resonance. But again, this is being advertised as a gamer-focused keyboard with its 8K polling rate, and gamers have headsets on, so they don't really care much about the sound. But of course, I'm not generalizing all of them, but yeah, you know what I mean. Now for the stabilizers, they're very smooth and very well lubricated to the point where rattling is non-existent. Very well done, and kudos to Moeetech for opting for PCB-mounted stabilizers for zero wobble. Upon first use though, you may notice that the stabilized keys feel a little sticky because you're gonna have to break it in first. With a few hours of use, the lubrication should spread out evenly and make the operation more smooth and less sticky in terms of feel. Now for the switch options, I think this is the most interesting part of this review, as we're going to be comparing 3 switches sent over by Moeetech. Upon unboxing the keyboard, the switch installed here are the Pro G switches, which have a heavy 52-gram spring within. A 52-gram spring weight is heavy for me, and it's something I would highly advise for typists. The heavy spring weight will allow for less typos, as you're gonna need to have to be more intentional with adding pressure onto the keys before it actuates. And moving on, we have the Pro U switches, which is the first silent HE switches that I've ever tried, and they did successfully make this switch silent. The only sound you'll hear is from the bounce back of the switch. And lastly, for my favorite HE switch made by Moeetech is the Pro Silk. This has 38-gram springs within and also a clacky kind of creamy sound to it. Spring weight of below 40 grams is my go-to spring weight for gaming, as it helps me game for a longer period of time. And it helps me respond faster, especially in competitive shooter games. Here's a quick sound test of all 3 switches applied to the keyboard. And by the way, it's worth mentioning that this keyboard comes with a PC plate, which greatly affects the sound of the switches. So here goes. Now for aesthetics, this is offered in 5 colorways, and I think the red color is the most fiery, the best colored one, but this is just my opinion. Now looking at the keycaps and the legends, they aren't entirely white. My camera might be picking up white, but it's actually cream. And when you put on the black PC outer layer coating of the keycap, it starts to look a little bit like brown. Very stylish in terms of colorway, and I also do love the contrast of the legends, making it so easy for my eyes to see the keys clearly. And since we're already talking about keycaps, this too comes along with other alternate keycaps that you may use along with a dedicated print screen button. If you order this keyboard, I advise you do as soon as you can and be one of the first 500 purchasers. You'd get a free set of double shot keycaps similar to the one that is default on the keyboard. It's a $39 keycap set with a double shot build in pink, though I'm not sure if more keycap colorways will be given away. All throughout this review, I've been talking about the good things and things that I loved about the keyboard, but there is one thing that I personally wasn't entirely into, and that is the outer shell of the keyboard made of PC. You see the internal polycarbonate components, and to me, it's just not eye candy. On the top side of the keyboard, you also get a PC I/O cover for the tray, and this has a crystal diamond-ish cutaways to it, and I think it looks really cool. You get branding at the upper right corner of the keyboard, but it's very subtle and isn't too obvious. In terms of light indicators, this doesn't have any, so pressing on caps lock unfortunately has no sign on whether it's activated or not. Same goes for Winlock, but Windows Lock doesn't work with the function key and Windows, so I might have to check the manual to verify how to activate Winlock. And since we're talking about light indicators, it's worth mentioning that this doesn't come with RGBs. So RGB LED fans out there, this keyboard may not be for you. Though this is marketed for gamers and competitive ones at that, having overkill specs. And to me, having no LEDs is just fine, as I don't really need LEDs and prefer them off, even on my main keyboard. Again, if you're one of the first 500 purchasers of this keyboard, then there are lots of freebies, such as free shipping, free Moeetech bag, and a free set of keycaps. So be fast, be quick, and get this keyboard as soon as your hands are itching for a new keyboard. I will leave links down in the description below for you to access on where to get your Glitter 65 HE. And I'll see you guys again next time.